Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new here. Welcome to my virtual studio in Vermillion. Today, as you can see beside me, we are painting this beautiful fall landscape. We're into October now when I'm filming this one. There's some beautiful colors out there, so that inspired me to do this one. This is actually the 10th step-by-step painting tutorial that I've done here on Vermillion. So if you want to check out the other ones, you can go to the playlist on my channel. I'll also link that below. Or you can find them right in the Vermillion game if you go to the bookmarks and go to the paint along section. You'll see one that says paint along with Brian Sloan. That'll take you to the first video in the playlist, and then the playlist will just be beside it there on the YouTube browser for you. If you have any questions while you're painting along with this, please put them in the comments. I will respond as soon as I can. I hope that I will be clear and concise with my techniques. A lot of the techniques that I'll do will work for both acrylic painting, painting in real life, and in virtual reality, while some of the stuff will just be virtual reality. But I'm excited for this one, so let's jump into it. Alright, here we are back at our easel. So if you're ready to start this one, you can just put your hand in front to get your canvas up there, and then we are going to be doing a square one today. So I'm going to change this to 24 by 24. Put your hand in the middle, and then from there you can change the size of it as you need. I'm going to shrink it down just a little bit there. And if you don't know where to go to even start, make sure you go to the save button here, go start a new painting, and it'll bring up the blank screen for you. So today, as you know, we're doing a nice fall scene. This one I've actually done in real life with acrylic paint before, so I'm excited to bring this one to you in virtual reality as well. There's some beautiful fall colors right now where I'm living, and kind of inspired me to recreate this one here in Vermillion for you today. And if you've done any tutorials with me today, you're going to see a lot of the same kind of techniques as we go through, especially with that first more Bob Ross style one that I did at the beginning. Okay, so we're just going to grab our 2-inch brush, and we're just going to be doing the sky first. So for the sky, I'm just going to take this blue here. And actually, before I jump in, I'm going to see what my settings are at, because it has been a little bit since I have played. I'm going to change that sensitivity back to normal. Alright, so I'm just taking that blue, and we're just going to spread that here on the canvas. And with this, we're going to go almost halfway down. Just easily cover that. Once it's on there, you can press A to clean off your brush. Y to reset the palette if you want. Then I'm just going to take some white here, go just below where that blue is, and I'm just going to work my way kind of up and down into each other there. I just cleaned off my brush, and I'm starting from the bottom again because I want to bring that lighter color up into it. One more time I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to put that brush away and grab my blender brush. And depending how you want that color to move, that's the way that you move this blender brush. So I'm kind of moving it up a little bit and then sideways. And that's just going to blend it all nicely together here. Alright, for this one today, I'm not going to actually be doing any clouds. I'm just going to leave it as is. So now we're going to move right into our mountains. So for the mountains to start, I'm just going to grab the smooth dagger. And if you've made mountains before, you'll know that underneath, like that kind of that darker background, it's almost a purpley color. So for that, we're going to take this dark blue I grab a little bit of this darker red here, and with that I'm going to mix in, actually I'm going to try some of this darker brown. That's almost giving me a black color, but just a really dark purple. And before I go in and do this right now, since we're done with the sky, you can do one of two things. You can either turn your mixability down so you can work on the same layer and it's not going to mess with your sky, or you can change the layer. So I don't really need to do anything else with the sky. I don't need to blend anything else with it in there. So I'm going to go to layer 2. And now we're just going to simply draw in the mountains. So if you've done my other Bob Ross style painting, we're going to do kind of almost that exact same mountain. We're just kind of changing everything else with the scene here. So we'll bring it in here, comes up and down and out. I'm going to bring this just a little bit higher here. And on this side, down and out. All right, right now I'm going to take a step back. I'm going to see where I want the bottoms of the mountains to be. I'm going to take this dagger color shaper. Just going to take some light brown and I'm just going to draw on here. Kind of where I really want these, like the shoreline to be on my lake. Just so I have an idea really before I get in here. To be a bit lower. There we go, something a little bit more like that. So what that means for us is we're going to take that smooth dagger brush again, and it's still dark for me, and I'm just going to fill in this area. Reload that brush every once in a while. We're just filling in this area where the mountains are actually going to be here. If you have a little bit of texture there coming through, that's no worries. Remember, you can increase your brush size, right? So actually I will increase that, and that'll help me fill this in a lot faster. I went a little bit high there, but that's okay. We'll just shrink that down. Oh. And I'm going to bring this down here to kind of this line here. Now I'm going to do some other colors in there. Alright, so there's kind of the main part of our mountains. What I like to do now, and this can be different for you, but I know that Bob Ross does it, and I like to do it, not all the time, but I do like to do it. I'm going to take my brightest white, because I'm going to have snow on these mountains. It's the fall, the rain has turned back to snow in the mountains. I'm going to take this brightest white and I'm going to add in my highlights. Now since we have our canvas mixing sensibility turned up, this white's not going to stay very white. And we're going to go back later and add some really nice whites. But just to get a feel for kind of where we want the highlights to be, that's what we're doing with this one right now. So I'm going to just take this here with the fan brush. I got the bristle fan brush, not the smooth. I've got the bristle fan brush. Again, you can just, swap it over. going to have this mountain kind of come like this. Now when you're painting landscapes, I guess something I forgot to mention with the sky before, and the rationale behind it is, as you get closer to the horizon, the sky gets lighter. So that's why we kind of made it get lighter as we got closer to the horizon there. And then the same with mountains. We need to know where our light source is coming from, where the sun is coming from. So for us, it's going to be coming this way. So anything on these sides of the mountains, they need to be bright. Alright, this is going to take me all day because that white's mixing right in with that. So already I'm going to turn down that mixing sensitivity, and you can see, there we go, it's spreading right into there nicely. So you can see I've come down with this one and I've overlapped the one behind it, and that's really to show that this mountain up right here is the one that's up front. That's a little too thick. Remember, you got that undo button if you like. And if this is too small for you to work on for the details, remember you can always increase that size. I know you can't see the top of the canvas anymore, but that's okay. And we just are dabbing things in here. Every once in a while you can clean off that brush. I'm going to move in here to this one. I'm going to shrink that back down. I grabbed the smooth short, the bristle short, just to kind of get these mountain peaks a little bit better. Especially this one. This one looks like you've got what we call a rooster tail. You wake up in the morning and your hair's sticking straight up in one spot. I'm going to try the bristle dagger just for fun here, kind of see what we get. That one's not bad. It's always fun to kind of try different brushes. Alright, now we're going to grab our palette knife. Now that I kind of know where I want things to go, I'm going to grab that palette knife and we're going to turn that sideways here. And you can see that the more sideways you have it, or I should say the less sideways you have it, the thicker that paint goes. But once you turn it more sideways, then it gives you a beautiful texture. And so I'm going to use that. And if you use that in the direction that you want things to go, then you can really create some nice texture with this tool. And then every once in a while, I'll kind of make it a little bit thicker in a spot. That's where the snow has been collecting on the mountainside. Alright, that's a good start. So I'm just going to clean that off. And I'm going to take some of this dark purple color take some white, mix it together here. These are going to be our highlights. And so for the shaded or the shadowy part of the mountain, I'm just going to rub some of this in here. And technically we want this front mountain to really show that it is in front. Oh, too much. Need to press B there and get that stabilized, but my hands are very shaky. Okay, I did one layer on that side over there. I'm just going to add some in here, a bit more. And again, we're going to add our brightest whites back over top. Once you got enough of that in there, you can take that same color that we were just working with, add a bit more white to it just to lighten it up. Go with that. And then you just do that same kind of thing. You don't want to cover up everything you just did. So I'm going to try to make a little bit more of a definite line here in between these two peaks. And I've kind of already added this color in throughout over here, so I'm going to be done with that. And if you want to lighten this up one more time, can lighten that up one more time as well. And I almost need a little bit more like of that purpley color. Yeah, there we go. So we've kind of been losing that, because the reason we need some of that, it's almost a little too purple, but the reason we want some more of that actual color to it, because that's kind of going to be what is reflecting that snow. So I'm going to take some of this darker blue in here, add this throughout. So I apologize, it happened to me twice now in this painting where my mixed reality app kind of froze on me, and so we're just kind of jumping back to this. The mountains are a little bit further done than what you just saw, but all I've done with the mountains is I continued with my palette knife and just with kind of these whites, and I saved a couple of these kind of pinky purples you can see here, I'll put on the palette, and I just continued to spread those in and go around. And then all I did after that was I took the smooth short flat and I just took a really dark brown. I pretty much just took black and the darker brown over here, that raw umber, and just spread that in there, filled that in, and did another little line there on the island. What I did after that, was missed was just did a base layer of the lake. And so all I did for that was I just took some of this darker blue, take some of that over here, a little bit of red because I wanted a little bit of purpley, some white, some of this sky blue, a bit more white, and with that I'm just going to take that in here and just spread this out. I apologize for that inconvenience. I was already exporting it, I was about to upload it, and I was watching it through one more time and realized that it had frozen me again, so that was kind of frustrating. I'm just going to shrink this canvas size down to help me cover this faster. And we're going to be doing a different reflection along close to the shoreline anyways with the trees, so you don't need to worry too much about that. But I'm going to take a bit more of just this blue. Hold on. Before you do that, make sure your mixability is turned up a little bit. I'm going to take some of that blue, mix it with white. And spread some of that in here. Even just some pure white. Again, the stuff like right close to the shoreline, we're going to be adding in different reflections later, so you don't need to worry too much about that. Take a blender brush here. I'll increase that size so you can see a bit better again. And you can go through and just smooth that out. Make sure your brush strokes are nice and horizontal, as we don't, like that's kind of how the water ripples are going to look, right? And if you want to, you can shrink that down. And go through there. Since I've had this one, when I was recording, my streaming app kind of paused on me. I thought I'd show you this little tip though, just in case you don't know. If you go to your save and new, and so here's all the different ones that I've done. I'll bring this down here so you can see it. And so I'm working on this one right up here, and if I click on that, the auto saves will actually all show up, and you can go back in time to a certain spot if you would like to. And so I just did that here. I went back to an autosave so I could redo a spot that it had paused on. I didn't do that earlier because I'd forgot that this was a thing for the second one that happens when I actually just end up erasing part of it and kind of redoing it, which still worked fine for this cause. But if you ever want to go back into your painting so you can maybe restart a certain section, you don't want to erase things, you can always just click on that, go back into it, and all of your different autosaves will be there for you to go back to. Alright, so that's really all that we missed there. Again, I apologize for that jump, and it's going to happen again later, you're going to realize. And I forgot that you could go back in and kind of get those auto saves, so I actually just kind of erased the trees and put them back in. Anyways, you'll see that later. Thank you for your patience. I hope you enjoy the rest of this tutorial. Alright, so I took a little break here. I'm doing this nice and early in the morning before I go to work, and I had to kind of stop here. While I was looking at it yesterday, I thought I wanted to go back here and just add a little bit more snow in some certain spots. Just those lightest highlights. So I'm going to turn down that mixability actually here. And even on this other side here, I want to make things a little bit more uniform almost. Okay, I'm going to leave it as that. Alright, so now we're going to move into the trees, shoreline, and all that fun stuff. So for the trees, I'm going to grab our bristle fan brush. I'm going to shrink down this canvas just a little bit. So just like with the mountains, I'm going to start with the darker background, which we almost kind of already have there. And so I'm just going to take some of this brown here, take a little bit of this orange, just to really have that dark orange going here. And with that, I'm going to take my brush here, I'm going to increase that size, but I'm going to have a vertical. And again, I'm going to keep that mixability down. I think that's a little bit light for our first layer. I do like that color, so I'm going to keep that to the side. See how this works here. Yeah, that's a little bit better. And I'm just going to be dabbing in here different layers of trees. And these are going to come, I want that just a little bit darker. These are going to be coming down almost right to the shoreline here for us. I'm not going to have too much of a shoreline in this one. And by dabbing, then that's just giving us a nice texture. And you want to make sure that you are, since this is the base layer, we're going to be covering it up, so if you do a lot of it along the bottom here, that's okay. We still want to see some of the mountains in between. And as you come closer on the left side, those trees can go a little bit higher because they're going to be closer in view and real, as if you were actually there, right? And as you get further away, the back of this lake, they're going to be a little bit smaller, and so they're not going to go quite as high. Alright, so now I'm going to take some of this orange here. And dab this in throughout. And again, we're not trying to fill the whole thing, right? We're just dabbing it in. If you need to turn it sideways when you're doing that back spot, feel free to. I'm going to try a couple different things here, just kind of explore different options. Because we do want some orange. But we do want yellow in the end too, right? So these, we're basically doing aspen trees, or quaking aspen trees, if you've ever seen those. They've got white trunks. I'm not going to worry about that. There's going to be too many leaves covering it up anyways. So. If you ever feel like you added too much of the light stuff, you can grab that darker color we were working with and go ahead and add that right in as well. Or if it's ever too thick, just undo it and redo it. I'm going to take almost this pure yellow here now. And with this, because even though our mixability is turned down, it is going to start to mix after a few dabs. The dabbing, it still makes it mix, so you're going to want to clean off that brush by pressing A and reload it quite often. This fan brush just gives us really nice random texture that you would see in nature. Alright, we're going to leave it like that for now. I'm going to move into the shoreline. For the shoreline, I'm just going to take some of that brown and we're just going to dab this in kind of right here. Along the shore. And I'm just going to take some of this yellow ochre that's sitting up here. And just dab this in for a shoreline as well. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. Alright, so there, if you step back, you'll see you have some really nice trees going on there. You can really see this picture coming together. So now we're going to start working into the first reflection of those trees, and then we're going to work into our little inlet or island, whichever one you want it to turn out to be. So for the reflection first, I'm going to try the smooth, or we'll try the bristle short flat. I'm just going to increase that size a little bit there. And we just want to use these same colors that we were using here. So I'm going to start with the darker. And I'm just going to simply paint this darker kind of right in here along the shore. lost some of that. After a while, like I said, even with the mixability down, it still starts to mix right. Okay, I'm gonna take some of this. Actually, I'm just gonna dab in some of this darker here throughout, and we can make this a little bit longer here for the closer parts, as if that reflection is getting more. Okay, now I'm gonna take, we're just taking all the colors that we just used, right? And just adding them in here. Okay, take this lighter orange. And again, you don't want to fill up the whole thing, otherwise the colors you're putting down beforehand just disappear, right? And we don't want them to be totally gone. We still want them there. Grab the wrong color there. We're almost doing the same thing. I guess you probably could do this with the fan brush again if you really wanted to. You don't have to use this different brush. When I paint this one in acrylic painting, I usually just have, like the tutorial that I've done, I'm pretty sure I just use 2 brushes for the whole thing. I don't really change it up too much. Alright, now that we got all that basically in there, we can adjust things in just a minute. We're going to grab this blender brush. I'm going to leave it just as wide as it is, and we're just going to go over it all lightly. I'm not doing too much, but you're going to see if you go right to the shoreline there, it gives us a really nice blur, and it really differentiates between reflection and not reflection. And if you want to, I'm going to shrink this down to the skinniest, and I'm just going to go through here and just add just a little bit of movement in that water, right? I'm still just pressing really lightly, I'm not doing a whole lot, but that's just creating some nice movement in the water for us. If there's anywhere that you see you'd like to add things, you can. I'm going to take my palette knife here and you can kind of just scratch in a little bit there. That didn't quite do what I was thinking it would. I'm going to take the bristle one, shrink it right down. It's going to take some white here and just along that shoreline. Press too hard. Just by adding that little bit of white around, that'll help identify the shoreline as well, right? As if that's where some of the water's kind of lapping up onto some rocks or something. Alright, if you want to, just take a step back, see how you think. Okay, now we're going to move into our little island. So for that, I'm just going to take the smooth short flat Actually, I'm just going to take pretty much black here, and we are just going to first fill this in. And I just want to fill in all this white space. Oh, okay. Now from here, I guess we could add some texture on the ground first, so just like we did with the other shoreline there. I'm gonna just take this dark orange, and we're just gonna dab this in here. And take some of this yellow ochre. Gonna do the same. Could even take a little light gray here to dab in closer to the shoreline. And you know what, maybe this one has a little bit of green almost still in it, so I'm just gonna add that in here, and we'll see how it turns out in the end. Maybe we won't like it, and maybe we'll end up changing it, but that's okay. So the screen just jumped, my phone had frozen there, and so I just finished off the painting, and now you guys missed everything. So for the shoreline here, I guess what I did was I just took this darker and just spread it in there, that whole place, and then just dabbed over it with some orange, yellow ochre, some yellow. And then for the trees, I just grabbed the darkest that we were working with. Okay. So when you're doing this, just keep in mind, and turn on that mixability again. Oh, I can't believe that froze on me like that. That is painful. We're just doing as if this is a group of trees, right? You can still see the sides of the tree over there, so that's fine. Okay. Then we took our lighter orange, did that same thing, and it's important to try to remember to rotate that brush as you're dabbing things in, to kind of help keep things a bit random, right? You don't want to keep it too uniform. Guess I need to check my screen a little bit more often than what I do. Okay, so we got that all kind of in there again. I know it looks like one giant tree, but as we go in to add the lighter highlights here, we're going to add some kind of in the middle right, on the far right, and again change up that how that brush is sitting here, and then on the right hand side And then we're going to take some of that yellow and do the same thing here. Because our sun is coming from this side, so if we have 3 trees, say here, then these sides of the trees are going to be the brightest. Ooh, okay. I know it's not perfect, but it is the second time I've done these trees here. And again, I don't know if you know, I'm doing this early in the morning before I have to get ready for work, and I had timed it just right. Now I gotta rush a little bit after this, but that's alright. Okay, so I'm gonna leave my trees like that. Now for the reflection, you can keep your fan brush if you want. We're just gonna brush some of this in here, grab some of that lighter orange, dab that lighter orange in, grab some of this, dab this color in here, and then finally take some of that bright yellow and work some of that bright yellow in there as well. And actually I'm just going to darken up this side a little bit more and that a little bit more. For the shoreline, I just took some of this dark color here and then took the yellow ochre, dabbed it in over top, just took all those same colors that we were using, dabbed them each in over top. And then when you're ready, grab your blender brush. I made it so it's the biggest. We're just going to go sideways to start, just lightly here, and then I do like to shrink it down and then just give it some nice left to rights. And that gives it some nice ripples, right? If you'd like to here, then I'm going to try it with this bristle fan brush. No, it didn't work. Take some of this white, gray, and just really light along the shoreline here. Just adding in some ripples, right? Okay, so now you can go in once you're done and make sure you save it first, and then you can go to export and you can export that as a studio photo, export that as a gallery one, or as neutral as well. And then I guess if you really want to, I didn't even think of this here. Actually, I'll take the rigger brush. It's going to take a variation of this blue that we're working with, and you can sign it as well. There we go. So thank you for painting this one with me today. I hope you learned something new that you can take on to your next painting. If you want to share with me your final results, I'd love for you to tag me in the Discord group or in the Facebook group as well. If you haven't checked out my other tutorials, I encourage you to do so. Hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next one, and we'll see you next time on Brian Sloan Artist.